welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another edition of the Community Show webinar. Today we are joined by a panel of distinguished young, youthful ladies and gentlemen who are going to help us discuss a topic that is very familiar. So before we go any further, let me allow my panelists to introduce themselves. I'm going to request that they tell us their name, the previous leadership positions they've held, any political affiliations whatsoever, and something that they think we should hear before we start the discussion. So in the order of ladies first, let's begin with Aijuka Evelyn. She'll be the first to introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Godwin. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you, CCG, for organizing this. My name is Evelyn Aijuka, and I'm happy to meet fellow panelists. Walid, I saw Kidega just a few moments ago. It's a pleasure to have you, and it's a pleasure to have you on this panel as well. Like I said, my name is Evelyn Aijuka. I have been a student leader in school. I was the first female chief fresh in the first semester, I think, of my university. And then I became the first female guild speaker in the second semester of my first year. And then, of course, later on went into UNSA. I was at the Okay, I see people from the comment sections are killing me. Yes, I went on to UNSA. I think I must have been the first finance secretary at the National Executive Council of UNSA. And then shortly after that, I represent the students at the National Council for Higher Education. And right after that, the guild elections. After that, there's National Youth Council. And I have been privileged to serve at the council twice, I think, yes, twice. And it's not a journey that I take lightly. It's not a journey that, it's a journey that I feel comfortable to share. It's a journey whose lessons I cannot wait to share and whose direction has shaped who I am now and what we are. And most importantly, I'm a YouTuber. Yes, check out my YouTube channel, Standout Series, and subscribe. I have amazing content there. Yes, lately I am a YouTuber and I cannot wait. I'm a writer as well. I'm an author to Stand Out. Yes, and I think we'll be able to get into that. Patricia, I see you. It's a pleasure to be here. Over to you, Godwin.
Thank you very much. Indeed, we shall have a discussion on the YouTube and so many, I think the unending Twitter spaces.
Yeah.
And all that. We'll discuss that a bit later, perhaps. So let's now listen into the other panelists. That is Doreen, Kaija, the other female panelist, and then we can move to the gentlemen. Doreen, are you there? We seem not to be getting. I don't know if it's a matter of you turning on or not. And as you come on, I'll just ask Doreen, I'll just ask Evelyn what she didn't respond to. That is, if she does have any political affiliations.
Yes, I belong to the NRM. I belong to the National Resistance Movement. I do.
Okay, thank you. Doreen, okay, in the interest of time, let's move to Walid Lubega. Walid, you're going to follow the same procedure. Introduce yourself, tell us who you are, any positions you've held, any positions you're holding right now, any political affiliation, and anything that you think we should know about you. So over to you, Mr. Lubega.
Yeah, good morning once again. And first of all, I would like to appreciate Center for Constitutional Governance for putting this platform for the young people to participate in the issues concerning the youth. And also would like to thank you, Mr. Godwin Toko, for the wonderful moderation. And also colleagues, fellow panelists, Evelyn, Kidega, and Doreen. Thank you very much for making time to be part of this leadership discourse. And also the people who are also following this conversation. My name is Mulindwa Lubega. I'm the National Youth League Chairman of the Forum for Democratic Change, the opposition party. And I've just heard my sister Evelyn introducing herself as a former student, a former leader, student leader I'm also a former student leader. I'm a product of university leadership and politics. I went to Islamic University in Uganda, where I pursued my Bachelor's of Arts degree in social work, social administration. I was a guild minister, guild gender minister, and I also served as a GRC representing Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. I also served as a chairperson of Baganda and Kubazambogo, IU chapter. So I'm not also new. I think my university leadership actually did a lot. It was a foundation from where my leadership history is anchored. So I'm also glad to have been mentored. I also served as a chairperson of FDC IU chapter. So I also mobilized for the party during my days when I was at campus. Currently, I'm the National Youth League chairperson of the Forum for Democratic Change Party. I think that is all about me.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's quite elaborate. Now move on again and try Doreen. If she's now clear, I see she's actually not here anymore. So she'll just have to move to Mr. Kidega, following the same routine, and then we can hope that Doreen will be back by the time our time is. Mr. Kidega, we are waiting to listen from you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Godwin. And I also take this opportunity to thank CCG for inviting me and for, yes? Okay, can I proceed? Can someone hear me?
It's not very clear, but I guess you just have to proceed.
Can someone hear me?
I'm going to ask Walid to turn off his microphone so that you don't have any background noise as you submit. Oh dear, Kidega has now gone off. Okay, we hope that when he comes, he can still make the submission together with Doreen, who also seems to have left the chat. So without any further ado, let's just have the panelists who are here and we start with them. As Kidega tries out to make his way back. But okay, Kidega, are you there now?
Okay, first of all, thank you very much, Comrade Godwin Toko. I just want to thank CCG for inviting me to this very distinguished panel. I must say that Evelyn, you look very beautiful this morning, and Walid, you sound very amazing as well. As you may notice, I could be the least experienced panelist. I've had the credentials of my senior comrades, and I'm contemplating if I should even start mentioning mine. But anyway, I'll try to fit into this particular panel. My name is Kidega Moses. I am, of course, a part of active student politics at Makerere University. I served as the president of COSIS, which is one of the colleges in Makerere University, as well as chairperson to the Council of College Presidents. I then went ahead to serve on the 31st National Executive Committee of UNSA as the Secretary for National Affairs. And I'm currently serving in the National Youth Council as the Secretary for Labor Affairs of the National Executive Committee. I hail from Gulu District, and I'm also a member of the Youth Council of Gulu District. I am an active and proud member of the National Resistance Movement Party, and I think we can hold it there for now. My journey, of course, has been one of cynicism and doubt, but also a journey of hope and learning. So thank you. I look forward to this discussion. Back to you, Godwin.
Okay, Mr. Kidega. So let's start with Evelyn Aijuka. So Evelyn, you are a student leader at the university. And just like all these other guys, I want to understand from a female perspective, was it any easier, was it any harder for you being a female leader at the university? And how was office throughout your time generally?
Wow, okay. As a female leader, now people who know Makerere University Business School, they know that it is the ratio of females to males is about 60 to 40. So there are more males than females. Sorry, there are more females than males at MOBS. And that comes with an advantage, but also a disadvantage in itself. An advantage is that should you have a handsome running mate, they will most likely rally with that one. But also an advantage that it's a time to see a sisterhood expressed, a sisterhood with standing with each other, a sisterhood of ideas, a sisterhood of generally an all-round sisterhood. For me, it was an amazing time for me. I was from a single school, Nyanchi girls. I go to Makerere University Business School in my first semester. You know how all of you are trying to find footing? Then something comes up and I see chief fresh and I'm like, okay, what do this do? Actually, the first person I asked I looked for the person that was the chief fresher then. I remember he was Murungi Asnan. I think he's in this discussion I saw in the comment section. I asked him, how does this thing do? How does this thing work? I want to see if I can make a difference. I want to see if I'm able to do this. And he told me, well, this is how it works. Explain to me. This is. And then I'm like, okay, so it's something that I can do. And then he went ahead to tell me that there has not been a lady in that position. Now, for me, anybody that has identified with me, they realize or they know for sure that I am never the kind that just fits in when I can stand out. So I asked him, what are my chances? He's like, no, give it a try. I think from the interaction we had with him, he must have maybe picked something from me. So I put in my bid and we walk around. I tell people I'm running, we make posters. I think those were I look at those posters and I'm like, oh my God, how old was I? Yes, so anyway, I make them and people unanimously support me for it. Later on, then speakership comes in. So it is an opportunity for the girl child. It is a challenge for the girl child, but it's a challenge I would tell anybody without holding back that, hey, go for it. Go for it, because one, you can do it, and two, you can make that difference. There was a time that people didn't think that I was also the first female guild speaker. So there was a time they thought that maybe those positions were ring-fenced for males, or only the males could perhaps do better or deliver better. But hey, we are now in times when we have a first guild speaker, a first female chief fresher. And I'm not boasting, but I think in my time, we did amazing things. We did campaigns, we did blood donations, I remember in my time as speaker, we put in place the constitution that the students' body in MOBS, is now using. So it's an opportunity, but it's a challenge. As a woman, there are those you will find that just want to, I think I can put you here. They want to get to you and ask for, and put you in very compromising situations. But hey, you're stronger than that, so you can maneuver and get through it. So back to you, Godwin. It's an opportunity, but it's a challenge in itself. But I don't regret on the decision I made, because it opened immense opportunities for me. And I would tell any girl child, any young lady out there aspiring to take on the leadership journey to do it, but also go in with a clean head, go in with a clear mind. There are so many vultures that would want to take advantage of you. Do not accept that. You are valid, your aspirations are valid, and you can do it even without them taking advantage of you.
Okay. You've raised very serious issues there, and shall definitely get back to you. I see Doreen has joined us, but she doesn't have a microphone yet. That means she can't speak. Now, for those that are just joining us, that has been Evelyn Aijuka giving us her perspective and her flashback. The flashback on her time as a leader at the university that was at MOBS. Our topic for today, of course, is the role of youth in the governance process. Now, I want to move very fast to Mr. Walid Lubega. Walid introduced himself as someone that has been, yes, a student leader and all the other things, but he seems to cut his niche most as a leader within the FDC. So one from him. Walid, what does it feel like in Uganda's context, being a leader, but actively in party politics? Yeah, not UNSA, not this. Give us the perspective of that party politics, especially an opposition politics. Don't you ever fear? I mean, I would fear that I'm going to be tear gassed and perhaps get arrested and all these things. How does that conjure with you in your everyday life of being a leader within the FDC?
Thank you very much, Comrade Toko, for that insightful topic that you have posed to me. First of all, I want to inform the viewers and listeners that it is by choice for me to participate actively in the party discourse. And I think when I was joining politics, especially at university, where they identified me, groomed me, mentored me, and positioned me, many of my colleagues thought that maybe joining politics means going to parliament, going to council. I had a very different conception of what colleagues thought. My thinking was that you need to build a critical mass of young people, organize them, mobilize them, train them, mentor them, and then position them. Thereafter, then you will be able to deploy somebody maybe to an elective office. That is the problem we have in the country, that we have a big section of leaders who haven't gone through those stages. And when it comes to leadership, there is a lot that is lacking, that is missing in terms of argument, in terms of administration, and so on. So my thinking was that I must climb the ladder when it is really needed, when I'm ready. So I needed to be prepared first before I go for the bigger thing. So, and it is something that really is within me. I believe in mentorship, in building, in harnessing the potential within me, and not only me, but even the leaders that have passed through me. And I can assure you, my administration as a chairperson of the league, the time I've spent in office, I've built a very strong network of young people whom I've identified from various institutions of higher learning, whom I have identified even from the informal sector. For example, in my department, we have the Juakali sector. We have networks within markets where we identify people. Even within markets, there are people who have potential. They just need to be harnessed. And that is the irony within the young people. Most of us, we have the potential, but we fear to showcase it. So you need somebody to trickle it such that people can appreciate that there is something in you. So that is really, that has been my preoccupation in my leadership, in my administration, to identify, to bring out, to discover the potential within the young people. And I want to assure you that in the last election, the party really based on the young people, on the database, the network, the elaborate network the Youth League had really come up with. It is no mistake that we had the youngest people contesting for national and local leadership positions. They were young people, members of parliament, those who contested in the council, they were young people, but coming from that elaborate network that we have put in place, my leadership has put in place. And I think that is that is what is actually lacking in other political parties. Political parties must be vehicles of building and also identifying young people and positioning them. So if a political party, anybody comes on his own, then there is a mistake. Yes, my brother.
Okay, I'm going to get back to you. I think we can now move on since you've made the introduction, and then we shall get back to you on those other things you asked. I don't want to say them now, yet I have questions for you in that regard.
Noted.
Okay, so now, so Doreen has joined, but she's going to use the name Nantambi Immaculate. So before I bring her on, let's finish this round by listening in from Kidega. So Kidega Walid has made a very critical point. He said that there's a lot of need, there's need for a lot of mentorship. That you shouldn't just jump in and feel like you're ready. You should pass through certain channels, listen to certain people, and get yourself mentored by those who are there already. Indirectly, Evelyn said the same thing. She said she talked to the people that held the positions before she did and got the perspective. So I just want to get it from you. How important is the aspect of mentorship for young leaders like yourself and the people that are listening in today?
Thank you very much, Godwin, for that very elaborate question. I want to thank my senior comrade Walid for his very productive and broad submissions that he has made, as well as thank Aijuka for her earlier submission. Yes, I want to agree with my panelists, my fellow panelists, that yes, mentorship is a very important attribute in nurturing and building a leader. But I think at this particular point, we might be interested in understanding what is mentorship exactly. To me, I think the best mentorship that any leader can get is by participating actively in the process. Leadership to me is not like biology or chemistry, where you go to class and they sit you down and put a blackboard in front of you and begin to teach you how to be a leader. I think it's by actively participating and by actively involving yourself in the day-to-day affairs, in the day-to-day governance of a particular institution, be it your political party, be it the youth council or UNSA, whatever institution you're part of or you're serving in. It's about how much you involve yourself in the day-to-day activities. Because when we trace back in history, even our president, His Excellency President Museveni, was mentored by Mwalimu Nyerere, by the Frelimo leader, among others. So to me, mentorship, just like my colleagues have said, is a very important aspect, and we must continuously encourage it, and we must continuously, like Walid said, harness the potential of young people. And just before I dwell deeper into the aspect of mentorship, our particular argument today is about governance. And to have good leaders who govern, they must have gone through a particular system that has trained them, that has nurtured them to make them very good leaders. And to me, governance is a very important aspect of leadership, or of organizing in a given state. And if you read from online literature, they'll tell you that governance is simply the process of organizing a state. So, and I think our discussion today will focus more on the youth participation in governance. So, Godwin, just to answer your question, mentorship is important, and I think it must be encouraged at all levels, be it political parties, be it government institutions. We must mentor people so that we prepare them for bigger responsibilities. Thank you, Godwin.
All right. So we are going to move now to Doreen. Like I said earlier, Doreen joined, but she's going to use another name that is not hers. So when someone else submitting her, again, we've lost her. It's really absurd how her network is making it difficult for us to hear from her. So we just have to proceed. Now, I want to turn back to Evelyn. Evelyn, so a direct question, just as the topic says, in your own view, what is the role of the youth in governance, especially in a country like Uganda?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, let's define the youth. You may find there's anybody maybe listening and perhaps doesn't know the youth, what we mean when we say the youth. Anybody from the ages of okay, let's maybe from voting about 16, most yes, from voting, most children, teenagers who have hit 16, they're issued NIN numbers, so hence they can be in the voter register. 18 for other documents. African Charter may stretch to 35, and to our constitution 30. Now, as per Uganda, the youth demographics are, we know that the young people are the most in this population, and we know that as even as per UBOS, the population of the youth is okay, those below 30 years. Let's go as per our constitution. Let's not even stretch to the African Charter. Yes, those below 30, they constitute about 78% of the total population, total Ugandans. So now, when you see 78% population below 30, now that's a youthful generation. Now, the youthful the participation of youths could range from the times that we organize such dialogues to the times when mentorship happens, active participation, to the times when we see youthful members of parliament or youthful people taking up spaces of influence, taking charge, and most importantly, being equal citizens and their voices being heard and across all levels of policy making. Now, as youth, us being majority, our discussion or our agenda can no longer be ignored, unfortunately or fortunately. So the numbers that we have, whether irrespective of whether where you belong, I may be from the NRM, Walid is from the FDC, maybe someone else may be from NUP or DP. Regardless of where we are coming from, we are youth to begin with. And youths that are looking for spaces to be heard or spaces to be meaningful or to make meaningful discussions and contributions to this country. And the beauty in the now youth is that the now youth is an elite. We have studied, most youth really have studied, and most youth are now yearning for a space to make a contribution. Now, I must congratulate and I must commend civil society for making these engagements happen, for making sure that they're engaged, their spaces, there's research disseminated, and there's continuous discussion on governance issues. So thanks to them, now the youth is more alert. Thanks to them, the youth now can make meaningful contribution to the discussion happening now. But it's not yet enough. It's not yet enough. Why we are zeroing down to which political affiliation is Evelyn Aijuka? What are her thoughts? Where does she belong? I think we are not harnessing the numbers that we have. And correct me if I'm wrong, but most of us, whether you're from whichever political affiliation, you're looking to. I look forward to a time when youths can put aside all these small issues that put us aside, and we attack this from a united front. And let me tell you, an idea, regardless whether it's coming from Godwin, whether it's coming from Evelyn, if it's an amazing idea, it will remain an amazing idea. So youth participation, for me, should just be a critical mass, should be a critical mass of us coming and sharing ideas, regardless of our affiliations, by the way. Because Walid just explained, and I agree with him, that we must identify We must build a youthful generation that can make meaningful arguments, meaningful discussions, and most importantly, have the potential and us to have the courage to know, okay, if Walid is here, I know he can deliver on this. If Evelyn is here, yes, she will be vocal on this and she will speak. So how about a united front for all youth, regardless of whatever affiliations? How about we draw an agenda for us as the youth? How about we are caught on the right side of history as a youth that united, as a youth that pushed an agenda like unemployment, an agenda like meaningful participation, an agenda like gender mainstreaming, but from a united front. So
Okay.
for me, I think that is what I would want to. That's what I would chip in as of now.
Okay, thank you. As Evelyn spoke, I saw Nantambi, who is Doreen, had joined, and I was scared that we'd lose her before. Thank God we haven't. So, Doreen, are you there now? Can you hear us? Can you say something?
Yes, Mr. Godwin. It's a good morning. I don't know if now I'm a little bit clear. Can you get me well now?
You're clear. The red bear can see you. Can see you surely. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. And before we go any further, you're going to tell us your name. You're going to tell us any leadership positions you've held and those you hold right now, and you're going to tell us if by any chance you hold any political affiliation. The other panelists did that earlier, and it was you that was left.
Okay, as I earlier said, I'm Kaija Doreen, and well, my apologies to you, the participants and the people following us. Had some technical errors, but well, introducing myself, you asked my political affiliation. By the mere putting on of my beret, I truly speak volumes of where I belong. So I belong to the People Power Movement, and the National Unity Platform is my party. Currently, the Deputy National Youth Leader in the National Unity Platform. I think in the last elections, I should also say I contested for the National Female Youth MP seat. During my university, I was a chair lady at the Ndeja University. So briefly, that is it. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Now, first question, just tell us, how was it participating in the national, the female national youth, is it the female national youth MP elections? How was it? So what lessons did you learn? Did you have the finances to participate? And if you did, was that an impediment? Just give us a general overview in like 2 minutes of your experience with that election.
Well, in any election or in any grounds, you always have two things. Either you participate as a candidate, or you can be someone who will be in position to support the other people's views. And of course, as a candidate at that time, there were several things that we had to learn through the process. But majorly, I want to say we went into this knowing of what it would take, more so in a society that is more or less of a jungle kind of, and when we moved into this election, we knew it was so much demanding financially, because this is a process that takes nationwide campaign. It's more or less of a presidential, only that it is more of a college vote. But one required to have moved at least in each and every other district of this country to converse for support, or even people to understand, know your message and align with you. Well, it was a very long journey, more so to someone who had just gotten out of university. It wasn't easy. It wasn't a cup of tea. So it required to mobilize finances. It requires sometimes stakeholders, the way how the youth are, the formations that they have put up, it's about who is behind you at some point. And the big people in this country will always ask, where do you come from? Who is fronting you? So we were battling with a lot of questions that people wanted to know from us. More so, we had an agenda, we had a focus of spreading our message to the people, such that people get to know, or the young people get the information that we are holding at that time. I want to say there is a lot that I got to learn, more so with the category where I belong as now, as a young person, because I'll not be young forever. So I knew what the young people require. It may not be knowing so much or having information or having the best representative, but sometimes it comes with how best financially are you, how best are you financially, because we have been put in a position where we live for a hand to mouth, so people think which rally, they see you as at least for a month, for at least for necessarily eat, and that is what we are at our generation keeps making, and you've always seen it because it has been set now. It is more of the trait of every other campaign. It's never about the issues that you raise. It is always about what is the financial capability that you have, your financial muscle. So it is always a pull and push up about the two issues. But nevertheless, the few young people who understood our message rallied behind us and understood our message. That will never stop us from moving. We continue to spread our message. We continue to preach the gospel truth, the gospel truth of having a better country, of having a better generation. Because if we talk about the young people, we are talking about the future of any other country or of our country.
Okay.
So
carry on.
Yes, it's neat, or be focusing on as the young people. When we ask of the future is prepared today. We shall not wait to reach to the future and then think of how do we prepare best. If there is need to have the better country, then there is need to answer the questions of the day today. And that is the highest population of the country that computes to over 75%. That is, I think, according to the UBOS. So it's what we should be debating, or it is what we should be looking at as a country and the future. Yes.
Thank you. Let me now move to Walid Lubega. Thank you, Doreen, once again. So, Lubega, when you look at the country as it is today, when you look at what people have called the mess, especially people in the opposition, and what people in the government tend to call the progress, do you think the youth in this country are participating enough in the governance of their country as of today?
Thank you very much for the question. And I also like to thank fellow panelists for the trend. I think we are moving in the right direction, and I wish to agree with them. But on the question that you have posed, my thinking is that the participation is minimal. Given the numbers we have, Uganda is one of the youngest, the country with the youngest population in the world, next to Nigeria, with over 77+% of the young people. So the other way around would be having young people participating at all levels. Young people should be participating in terms of leadership, participating in terms of voters. Young people shouldn't be at the periphery of the decision-making process. Decision-making even starts at the lower level, at the level of election, where young people even shun voting, where young people, even when matters that concern them, when you call them upon to really stand up to be counted, maybe on street to demonstrate against the injustice, they are nowhere to be seen. young people at this time should be really standing up against the bail. The issue, when the injustice that Museveni is about to commit to the country, removing the bail. So really, my thinking is that the numbers we have vis-a-vis the kind of support, the kind of contribution we do to the struggle is really not rhyming. So my thinking is that we would be having a sizable number of young people not begging. We wouldn't be at the level of begging. We wouldn't be at the level of spectators just watching Mr. Museveni doing the mischief, the injustice to the country, and we just look on. We should be the one piling pressure on the regime, just like it happened in Sudan, where the young people rose up against Omar al-Bashir. So we saw the young people even participating in many in France. We saw the young people, the university students of Paris University, removing the leadership of General de Gaulle, Charles de Gaulle. So my thinking is that young people, and I think with the young leaders across the board, including those of NRM, I think we owe a lot to the young people to mobilize them, to reshape and to redirect them to do what we are supposed to do.
Let me ask before you proceed. Is it all about removing the government? Is it all about rising up? You get me?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Okay, so it's all about moving the government like they did in Sudan, like the young people have done elsewhere, or young people even participate, but in different ways that you seem not to highlight.
I think if you listened attentively to my presentation, you would have really seen that. In my preamble, I told you young people can participate in as far as participating in election. And I was asking if we were to go with the numbers, did our numbers really come out in the election as young people? We would be showcasing the numbers even in the election. We would be showcasing even numbers in terms of decision making, where you see that the young people sat and said the bail issue shouldn't pass. And that is missing.
Now, finally, before you proceed,
yes.
So how would you say that has been shown? Is it a case of young people winning more positions than saying, "Oh, the youth actually fought"? Well, young people actually want the issue of bail. Is it possible that we live in a country where some people, there are so many criminals? Let's not have bail for some particular offense. And it's a sign that they say it's okay. Must they take a particular stand? That is the query I have here.
Yes, because we have justice and injustice. Is it justice for one to say moving bail is justice? Justice, because for you to assume the innocence until proven guilty in the course of law, really everybody has it. Just like he was finding the honorable right. So in this instance, it is really upon this very occasion that the young people should be coalescing around. Okay. We should be coming up with a bipartisan position. The NRM, my sister Evelyn from NRM, my brother Kidega from NRM, we come together with the opposition and said, no, at least as young people, this is our demand. But my sisters are only waiting for them to be victim and coming out to cry foul. So I think this is the right position. So with responding to your query, in my own thinking, it is broad. not only removing the regime, but also young people are clamoring for justice.
Okay. Thank you, Walid Lubega. Young people are clamoring for justice. So let me now turn to Kidega. Kidega, do you agree that the silence of the young people on issues like bail, the silence of young people in a country called Uganda, and the fact that they've allowed a man who is now almost 80 years to lead them for this long is an indication of the youth's indifference or less participation in the governance of the country? What Walid Lubega has just said.
Thank you very much, Comrade Toko. Someone in my village one time told me that the longer you stay around an anthill is the more likely your chances of becoming brown are. I think my brother has stayed very long around.
Your network seems to be breaking, sir. Kidega, you're buffering and we can't seem to hear a thing. Okay, Kidega, I'm going to ask that first. Kidega. Kidega. We can't hear you. Okay, so I'm going to ask that you first mute Kidega so you can sort the network out.
My own.
Now, Kidega has been muted so that he can sort the issue of the network out. But I'm going to put just that same question now to Aijuka, who is also from the NRM. Is youthful participation in governance seen in opposing draconian and inhuman or human rights abusing legislation and policy like the proposed amendment, or is it seen in some other instances as well? So, and then at the end of that, you will tell us, are the youth in Uganda participating in the governance of this country, or they are indifferent, they folded their arms and they are watching on spectators and letting other people play the role of active participants?
Thank you so much, Godwin. Walid, my brother, the people have demanded that you put on your video. I think Kidega is back. I don't know if his network is better, but he seems to be back.
Yes, it is.
Okay, Walid, my brother, the people have spoken and the people have demanded that they see the person this. I don't know if you've seen in the comments. Godwin, do you want me to let my brother handle, or would you? I could come in later.
You finish up. I'll give him time to come and finish up. You finish up.
Okay. Well. Okay. It's I think I would like to bring my brother Walid to. I would like to. I hope you're listening in. I think now more than ever, it's no longer about the political divide for most youths. It's no longer about and I must assure you that even in the NRM, there are clear-headed fellows, perhaps, that want to see a Uganda that is better, that wants to see Uganda take strides into the, a direction that you would be happy to bring in your children. You'd be happy to be away from this place and say, hey, come from Uganda. So it's not true when you say that my sisters are muted. No, we had a discussion. I think I was hosted on the civic space recently. And we're talking about when they closed, when they were clamping the civic engagement. And I was there. I'm from the NRM, but there's some things that you cannot keep quiet when some things are happening. You can some issues are no longer, or they are beyond just the political affiliations. For example, we were talking about civic engagement, how it was being hampered and stuff. And for me, I just gave my simple opinion that, hey, look at, I advise that government needs to look at civil society as alternative thinkers, because that is what they are. There are some issues they share or shed a light on that sometimes government maybe even put it on its radar. So back to the point of governance, my brother, all of us as youths, whether from the NRM, whether from the DP, whether from FDC, I saw somebody complaining that DP has been marginalized. We have to not just be woke, but and Walid, it's not true when you say that the youth participation now is like the way it used to be. Do you remember, compare statistics of 2011, 2016 to 2021 elections? Now more than ever, youths wanted to vote so much. Youths knew what they wanted to do. Youths were awake to the processes. Youths were demanding for accountability, my friend. And thanks to social, to civic education from the civil society organizations, youths knew their rights and they wanted to exercise them. And no wonder we even have more youthful representation in parliament, not just the youth MPs. That's a given. Definitely, those have to be youths. But even from, you've seen people who are going to direct constituencies, we have a more youthful member of parliament than we used to have. So it is true that we haven't got where we want to be. But it is also true. It is also true that we are not where we used to be. It is true that we have not maybe shed off the shades of I am yellow, I am green, I'm red. But it is also true that now we can come to a discussion, and Walid, you say, I agree with Evelyn Aijuka from the NRM. Okay, so for me, that is an important step. For me, that is an important step. And you see, for the youths to participate meaningfully in the election processes and everything, first of all, they have got to be like awake, woke to the constitutional processes. And now youths are, haven't you seen the roundtables that CCG is hosting? Many young people seem to be engaging. Have you seen how active they are? They're commenting, they're shedding more light. Okay, now they must have a united youth front. This is what we are forging right about now. You saw my sister from the NUP. You're welcome, my sister. How was the National Female Youth MP race? She's here saying we must unite as a front. Now, this is now also one of the other components of youth participation is supporting dialogue. Now, look at what we're having. Look at the discussion we're having right now.
Okay.
The other one would be public policy, making skills. I have seen trainings. CCG has done trainings. Other civil society organizations have done trainings to train you on what to ask for, what accountability to demand for, to track progress. Because, I mean, you can't demand for what you don't know.
Okay.
The other point I think we should concern ourselves as the youth is greater justice for the disadvantaged groups. Whether I'm from the FDC, whether I'm from the NRM, whether I'm from where, regardless of where I'm coming from, if a youth is being traumatized by anything, or if his or her voice is being, it doesn't please me. I'm a human being first, before any other political affiliations, for whatever reasons you chose it. So now there is where we can agree. That is where we can agree. And the other thing that I think is missing, is we are just inciting violence instead of actually doing it the gradual way. We are just inciting violence. Have you seen people who come, you say, we go strike. I remember when I was at university, there was a time they knocked two students at that small gate. And I led the way to this, we closed off Ginger Road. Well, for us then were demanding that they put demarcations, the speed was too much, and they were knocking most students on the small gate. So it's not just enough for us to incite violence, but let people understand and appreciate their contribution, first of all, to the cause, and two, how they could be meaningful without us really, pushing them to the limits. Now we know that the country operating has laws and rules governing it. And trust me, anything that they see is not, they will try and hamper it. How about we become more organized, more informed, and most importantly, have a proper and a full understanding of this package rather than just inciting. I'm really against just inciting people for the case of struggle to get to. Yes, the struggle is there. Yes, we want to be a part of it, but how about we attack it from a united and most importantly, an informed view? So,
okay. I'm going to hold it there.
Yes, that's what I was doing.
I'm going to hold it there. I see we've lost Walid. It's sad he's not listening in to your submission. I wanted him to respond, but still I'll call him when he comes back to respond to those. Now, Kidega, briefly conclude with what he had started so we can get the discussion moving to other panelists.
Thank you, Comrade Toko. Before my network disturbed me, I had given you a background of what online literature will tell you. But then I was saying that my comrade Matan has always advised me to read more domestic or African literature. And in this particular case, I've read from an African scholar on democracy called John Baku from Gambia, who said that democracy or governance isn't only about what I have read to you, but also it's about the doctrine of distributive justice. That it is not only about allocating resources, but how fair are these resources being allocated. For example, in our parliament, as they appropriate resources, do they factor in the argument that, for example, youth constitute the majority of this country's population? When they're appropriating resources, do they factor in argument like women are made less privileged, so there is need for us to appropriate more resources to the women fund? So the doctrine of distributive justice has to play a very central role in the aspect of achieving good governance. But also, John Mbaku will tell you that the argument of inclusiveness in the process, of accountability, of allocation of resources, among others, of making laws, among other principles of good governance. And in this, of course, we have to pose a question to ourselves: how involved are we as young people in the process of accountability or in the process of appropriation of resources of this country? Because we all know that participation is important, because there's this famous saying that only if you have a seat at the table, then can you partake of the food. So we must, first of all, find a way of attaining ourselves a seat at the table. We must see how to mobilize more young people to go to parliament. We must see how to encourage more young people to participate in the elective processes of the local councils, because only if we have it at the table, then shall we be able to partake and be part of the appropriation of resources. But also, I think over time, as a country, whereas we have challenges in terms of democracy, governance, among other challenges, which is not unique to Uganda. Many African countries and countries all over the world are struggling with governance issues. And we saw the USA in their most recent concluded election. And USA, by all standards, is the beacon of democracy and good governance. But we saw a presidential candidate claiming that his election was rigged. So the issues of democracy are not unique and the challenges are not unique. I think as a country, we have made steadfast progress, because unlike in the early 80s and 70s, today we see more effective youth representation in parliament and in local councils. And this has been a two-front argument. One is through the quota system, which my comrade Aijuka cited earlier on, that we have youth members of parliament, but also we have youth councillors in the local councils. Now, this is as a result of the affirmative action, as a result of the quota system that was brought in by the NRM government. But also, we must pick interest in understanding our youth candidates who participate in directly elected seats. What is their level of success? Because we must cross-examine that. Is our participation in parliament or in local councils only as a result of the affirmative action or the quota system, or we actually can contest for directly elected seats, which is adult suffrage in this case, and be elected on merit, on competence, and on our good qualities? Because just last week I was in a district in Lango sub-region, and I met a male youth councillor who told me that during their induction process, the LC5 chairman told him that the role of youth councillors, that the role of the youth here to be there. So you can see that the argument of our affirmative action of the quota system is being undermined by so many of these senior political leaders. But I am glad that civic society and through civic awareness being done by CCG, among other civil society organizations, we are building the capacity of our young leaders so that by the time they assume these leadership positions, be it in the local councils or in parliament, they are actually aware of their responsibilities so that they don't become a victim of what this male councillor that I interacted with expressed to me. They should know their roles and responsibilities so that when they're in these local councils or in this parliament, they know their roles are to advocate for the aspirations of the young people of their districts, the aspirations of the young people of their country. Now, speaking of progress, I think you have made progress. For example, in PG district, we have the youngest LC5 chairman by the names Sejemba Martin, a 27-year-old who was assumed the highest elected position in his district. So I think we are continuously making progress. But I must say, first wait, I must say, Gachali Mabaga, we have done something, but there is still much more to do to improve the level of effectiveness of participation of this country's young people in the day-to-day governance of this country.
Okay, so you've talked of the 27-year-old local council chairperson. You realize that there are 145 such positions. So if there are 145 positions available for local council, and only one like this, is held by a person who is 27, in a country where the biggest, more than 50% of the population is below 30. Is that an achievement? Isn't that damning instead? Isn't that soiling of what you're trying to make? And then when you talk about, for instance, again, let's look like at parliament. The youth have to be represented almost, below 30, take the age below 30, by people who are considered vulnerable. How do you be vulnerable in a country where you're the majority, you're 75%, and yet to represent you, they give you some 5 slots and say, in fact, less than UPDF, and say, you are a vulnerable group there, let these 5 people come and represent you. Is that a sign of failure on the part of the youth and on the part of the system in place that should have helped the youth represent themselves better?
Thank you, Comrade Godwin. I want to first of all agree with you that the youth of Uganda are a majority, but with a minority mindset. Okay? Our mindset still believes that we are a vulnerable group of people, irrespective of the numerical strength that we possess in this country's population. So on that particular aspect, I agree with you. Now, back to the LC5 chairperson, who is only one out of the 146 districts. Let's not focus too much on the one LC5 chairperson. There are also statistics of the local council members. If you go to the electoral community, 43% of the local councillors across the country are young people. Okay? Like I said, Gachali Mabaga, even Rome was not built in one day. It was in a journey of 1,000 miles. It begins with one step. Today we have one LC5 chairperson. In the next election, we can organize better, we can mobilize better to have more than one, more than two, more than 20. Okay, so it goes down to how best can we organize ourselves as young people and how best can we mobilize our fellow young people to believe that our time is now and we must step up and this country leadership. Because like we said, so many of us, the Evelyn Aijukas, the Ms, we have been privileged and we have been honored and humbled to be mentored by these political systems of student leadership, of USA, the National Youth Council. We have been prepared enough. So tomorrow, if we present ourselves for maybe elective positions as members of parliament, or maybe as direct constituency MPs, it won't be by mistake. It will be by design. Because we would have taken time to build our independent capacities to be able to offer leadership and be elected on merit and on our competence and on our good qualities as leaders. So I agree with you, Comrade Toko. Gacha Limabaga, something has been done, but much more needs to be done. I don't know how much more time I have, if I can continue or you want me to hold it there. But I wanted to bring in the aspect of the internal democracies of political parties.
No,
it's very important because we are...
come to that.
Okay.
So now I want to start Doreen. Doreen, you've religiously followed the discussion, I guess. We've since lost Walid Lubega. I hope you joined us along the way. But from what you've heard, there's a clear disagreement between Walid, what he thinks should be the way forward, and what what Evelyn and Kidega think. And I must say that I believe it's partly because of the different political affiliation each of these people holds. So I want to understand how. Okay, there's a helicopter flying around here, and I'm sorry, the sound is loud. So now I want to understand from you, Nant and Immaculate, from you, Doreen, how divisive are these political parties as far as the youth are concerned? Are they the biggest impediment to our unity and mobilization as a single front? If we cannot even agree on what the youth should do in a circumstance as the one that Ugandans find themselves in today.
Well, thank you very much, Comrade Godwin. I think I wanted to really first hit on the statement that you made earlier. You said the young people have really the young people been silenced. Maybe the thing should be have the young people been suffocated enough. I think, as I earlier stated, that given the environment that the young people are operating in today, where it is not about who should say what, or it is not about who should be discussing what, but it should be about who has the powers, and it has been playing out. When you're talking of the governance, we are talking of the rule of law, you're talking of transparency, you're talking of accountability, you're talking of equity and inclusion. So I want us to look at in the comprehensiveness of the governance that we are trying to break down. Because in governance, you're talking of the systems that are in place, the systems by which entities are directed and controlled in the environment or in the country that you're in. So I want us to pose the question to ourselves and ask, do we really have a system that is operating, or the system that we are operating in as a country? Because today it's not about which institution that has which powers, it's about the individuals who are within those institutions. And I was telling you that the levels at which the young people have been suffocated, they clearly play out there. That is why you see them thousands in numbers trying to run out of their country. It is not what they want, but it is because of the way how things are being done, and they are being suffocated deliberately. It is not out of the blue that the young people are where they are. It is a system that has been set. We are living in a country where the rule is, the leaders that we have today, I don't know if we should be even calling them leaders, because the leaders should be living by example. So we are living in a more informal way. Everything is done in an informal way. That is why you see someone who has lost a cup will try to say, Mr. Museveni, can I get hope? Someone who is losing his land, they will say, Mr. Museveni. And that is why you will see at the same point, you will have the IGG, you will have Kanona Kalema there. It is more of an informal way to see that everything will end in one direction. So there is no way you will tell me that the young people will be getting room to participate in the governance, the governance that does not exist in any way. Because we should be asking, what are the policies that we have in place? We have thousands every other day. You will see programs that are being put in disguise of helping the young people, develop the young people, empower the young people. But in the first place, you'll see they will be infringed by the very same system. It will be them to control them. It will them to benefit. It will be them to benefit from the very same services that you'll ask, have we evaluated the youth fund that was there in the last year? How has it been, effective on ground? How has it helped? How many people have benefited? Those are the questions that this country should be answering if we are trying to define what a young person in this country should be and where we want them to be. I think it is systematic and it is deliberate that the young people where they are, however much, they have not given up. That is why you've seen them continue to resist the bad rule, where you will see them rally behind people whom they think they preach hope. That is why you see them in thousands of numbers, even when it calls for them to pay the ultimate price with their lives. I want to tell you, Godwin, and the people who are following us, we have thousands of our young people who are in prisons today. But ask, what is it that they are? What is the case that they're putting against them? Is it there? But because they have decided to participate in the system that they have put on, it is a jungle, so you can't be allowed to play the game that someone else has set. It's them who have the rules, it's them who have the regulations. Sometimes we try by all means to participate in their own game, and we end up losing our lives. We end up, people are living in disarray everywhere they are. So we should be asking ourselves, how did we get here in the first place? If we are talking of a country that has the highest population of the young people, let me ask, how many young people are in the positions of decision making? How many young people that are there? It is always us in the receiving or the receiving end. It always comes from the young people at home. This is what you should be taking up. We have, when you think of governance, you're talking of people at the helm in the first place, at the helm of power. Look at this. As the young people, we rallied ourselves and we said we want to change this country. Was our decision respected? So where do we go in the whom do we run to as the young people? We have tried to galvanize our support. Galvanize our support, and you've had the insults that are being built on the young people. Others have come out to tell the country how we shall be crushed, and indeed they have gone ahead to crush us. You recall of I think it was Lumumba, who made a statement that when you bring your young people, we shall kill them. And indeed, they have gone ahead to do that. So what is it that we are talking about? If we are talking of the governance system that we are talking about, that is against the will, that is against the decisions that we make as the young people. I think that is what we should be debating. We should be looking at the staffing, the ethics, the responsibilities that are being given to the young people. Why are we given responsibility? Which schools we have in our country today? That is why you see the border economy that is full of the young, very many people. And even when they find a space, a breathing space, when they get there, it has to be put off. You've seen it with thousands being border motorcyclists being held on at least every other police cell. You will find thousands packed. But the young people who have come from villages to come and hunt for something to eat. That is the system. It's a jungle that has been put up, man eat man society, and therefore we have no breathing space. But however, all is never lost. I believe that the perseverance the young people have continued to show, the perseverance that the young people have given up, the efforts that they have rendered in making things better is not put at waste. We believe that at one point the young people's efforts will yield something. So that is what we have done, and that is what has kept people moving. And
first hold it there. If I may come in, I must say that I like energy. And if this was put to the vote, I think you're going to get so many voters. I'm reading the comments, and it seems there are so many voters. There's even one saying that I hope Evelyn and Kidega are listening.
I saw that.
Okay. Very powerful submission there. Walid Lubega is back. Walid, welcome back. Walid?
Thank you. Yes, Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now loud and clear. I just want to inquire from you before you dropped, did you hear the submission of I think you had of Evelyn and the one of Kidega?
Oh, I missed a lot. I'm very sorry. I had a network problems, so I really missed.
That you want to respond to from Evelyn, for instance.
I missed, so I can't respond to something that I missed.
Okay, they were saying that there is progress. That about young people only uniting to oppose, to protest, to defy. That the young people should also participate positively. That as people, young people, they want you of FDC to meet Kidega and also meet our sister, our vocal, I should add, vocal sister Doreen, and then you come together, you write a petition and say, hey, Mr. Olanya, the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Olanya, Ugandans love titles, let me give him his full titles. Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament Olanya, this is what the young people want. They want accountability for the previous investments in the youth scheme, the Youth Livelihood Fund, and all these things, without necessarily saying, we use hammers like FDC has used in the past, we blow whistles like FDC saying we should blow now, and all those other things. Do you think that is a viable option that is available to the youth? But just before you come in, I want to also tell our audience, the attendants, that there's going to be a chance for you to ask questions. So if you have any questions, I'm in the comment section, and then we'll be able to read it. So Lubega, you can respond.
Thank you very much for the moderation. And really miss my colleagues, but maybe I can respond from what you have ably amplified here. First of all, in my own thinking, we don't have a functional government. What we see as a government, it is a government is actually run by a family. We have a president, we have a wife who is a minister for education, we have a brother who doesn't have any serious position in the government that he holds, but he actually a government of his own. People have been flocking to Gulu, including the vice president, including the prime minister going to Gulu to get instructions. Can you imagine? From somebody who doesn't even hold any position in government. So we have a son of the president who is now the commander of land force. And we have a Moko, a son-in-law, the council of Abogo, who is now a senior presidential advisor. So literally meaning that whatever can be agreed upon in as far as the country should move. It is agreed upon in a family. People sit in Wachitula and agree that no, this is how we are going to move. So for me, to tell me to go and kneel before the right honorable it is really meaningless. I can't go to somebody who is empty. What can Jacob do? Poor Jacob. So, it is an insult to hear a colleague telling me to go to talk to Jacob. Jacob will automatically receive the petition, and the petition will be shelved. And then nothing will happen. So if we have a family that is at the helm for the last 35 years, really, we have a very big problem. And we have a crisis, just like Dr. SJ has really put it. We have a very big crisis, and this crisis, it is upon us, the young people, to solve it once and for all. So talking about the previous programs, we've had NRM is good at sloganeering, and that is what I can credit them. They are good in terms of coming up with the concepts. Youth Livelihood Fund, Bonabagaga Walid, they have of Obusani, they have of Intandikwa, they every election cycle, they will come up with a very good program, Emioga. If you listen to Emioga concept, you really see yourself in prosperity. So really, if those programs are good to go, if we can audit those programs ever since they started coming up with those programs, I know if they were implemented, Uganda would be far, and this kind of crisis wouldn't be even surfacing. So, but really, we are fed up of slogans. You don't expect me to go to Jacob Bolanya to complain of the slogans that the Museveni family sits in Watitula crafts and tell and give us, and we are fed on those empty slogans. So that calls for another remedy, and this is the remedy we are talking about: handling the crisis as it is once and for all, not just personally. So we are tired of coming up to respond to empty or whatever slogans. So that is what I can describe in my own thinking.
Okay, thank you for that response, Walid. But just before I bring the lists, I again encourage the people in this comment section, just write your comment there. If in form of a question, I'll endeavor to read them. So the next comment is coming after the one that is there right now. I'll endeavor to read them. So I want to now ask you, Walid, as we wait for the comments to come in, do you think that Uganda is very, very disadvantaged for having the kind of party politics it has? That you think the NRM, let me not say the FDC involved, that is it your view that the NRM people tend to see things based entirely on a party lens? That even if the youth are arrested, even if the programs fail, for them we just have to support because we are members of the ruling party, and that is their role. And then I would of course ask also the people who are not of NRM to respond if they think that is also true of FDC and people in the opposition generally. But for now, I just want you to respond. Do you think we are disadvantaged because of these party affiliations?
Just like I told you in my preamble that the country is being run by a family. So what the family expects of my sister Evelyn, of my brother from Gulu, is to worship and praise. Two things: worship and praise. So the regime doesn't expect the adherents of the regime to come and embarrass the regime with those unnecessary questions. So what my sister will be telling you, no, please, you go to speaker so that you can complain formally. So that is what the regime really trains. And there is a very serious training for young people. I know my sister Evelyn and my brother have undergone the Chankwanzi and these ideological clinics of the NRM. What they call ideology, what they call patriotism is not the patriotism as somebody may see at a face value. The patriotism is to worship and praise Mr. Museveni. So the wrongs, people will come out and sanitize the wrong things that the NRM has done. They will tell you, no, you are telling us that the Segrinyas are being handicapped even in the hospital. The people have been killed in election and so on. No, but Obote killed many. Killed many more than us. So that will be the kind of response. If we have a regime that actually compares itself with the past, the past, of course, the past was really worse, and you are comparing yourself to the worst rather than the progress, then there is a very big crisis, just like Dr. Besson says. So if the NRM, there is no way you would expect an NRM person to come and speak to power. If he does that, they will be reprimanded for coming up with those kind of embarrassing questions. They will be put into the disciplinary committee. So they will be reprimanded for that. So we expect them to be just praise and worship. They do only praise and worship. That is what I expect from my colleagues from NRM. Otherwise, people who have complained, they have left the NRM. Basically, complained, nothing was done. He left the NRM. The Magician Mount was left the NRM. Those ones who are still there, they can really pray. They are okay with the praising and worshiping.
Okay.
The Grand Ayatollah, Mr. Museveni.
Walid, thank you. Kidega has his hand up. I think he wants to respond, and then we shall move to the questions from those in attendance. So I want to give Kidega a chance to respond or say whatever he has to say.
Thank you very much, Comrade Godwin. First of all, let me say that the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights laid a very strong foundation for the doctrine of justice for all. So I believe that human rights are non-derogable rights. So issues like right to apply for bail, I believe those are fundamental rights that any Ugandan and any progressive young person should stand firmly on. But also, my brother Walid seems to focus more on the disruptive approaches towards maybe governance or towards maybe influencing decisions in this country. I want to tell Walid that we must focus more as a people, more on organizing our fellow young people, okay? Because I will tell you that when the Arab Spring happened, the young people were at the forefront of agitating for the downfall of Mubarak. But when Mubarak fell, the young people were not organized to take over the leadership of the country, okay? So we shouldn't focus too much on the mobilization and forget to organize. Let us organize ourselves that even when we agitate for a change and our time comes to offer leadership to this country, we are organized and prepared to offer leadership. Otherwise, we shall be like those young people who agitated in the Arab Spring, and when governments fell down, it was another older person of the same generation who took over. But Comrade Walid very lightly, and the way he referred to the Right Honorable Speaker in a joking and shippingly manner, to me, this speaks to the greater impression that Walid and his team have no respect for institutions in this country. Because if you can refer to the head of the legislative arm of government, where you have FDC members of parliament as a poor Jacob, then to me, this speaks to the incompetence and the lack of respect for institutions that the FDC and other young people who subscribe to the same ideology believe in. Because I will ask Walid, he has been a FDC Youth League chairman, but I have to post him a question. If he has held elections to usher in a new leadership, or if he is still worthy to hold that position as Youth League chairman, I'm sure his legitimate age of being a youth have surpassed, but he's still holding the same office. So we cannot speak of democracy and good governance only when it doesn't favor us, and then our practices speak otherwise. So to me, this is where I want this discussion to go: the internal democracies of our political parties, because we understand that when we have strong internal democracies in political parties, even the democracy at a national scale will be more democratic. But if you have FDC where the Youth League chairman has been there for now coming to 10 years, how do you expect the FDC to be a democratic political player on the national scene? So I think we need to focus on building the internal democracies of our political parties. And it is not right for him to accuse the NRM of suffocating divergent opinions. I, for one, has disagreed on several occasions with the positions of the party, where I feel the argument of the party or the position of the party is not for the common good. My opinions have been heard and concerns have been taken in regards to shaping given debate. So I think it is not fair for my brother to raise those allegations. But yes, human rights are non-derogable, but also young people must focus more on organization so that when the time comes, we are more prepared to offer this country our best.
Okay, Moses, just before you go, I want to understand, Could you just highlight some of these times when you disagreed with the NRM and the decisions?
Yes, I mean, the most recent being, first of all, last year when young people were being arrested and being incarcerated, the National Youth Council held a press conference and said, no, we don't think that it is right for the state and the army to arrest young people and not present them in court before the 48-hour rule demands. Okay, so on several occasions we have come out to say this is wrong. We believe things should be done better. Okay, but even on the argument of closure of schools, just not more than a month ago, we held a press conference and said we think the Ministry of Education is doing this country a disservice. Schools opening is long overdue. Okay, we have on several occasions come out to say this is wrong. We must take this direction, and that is objective leadership.
But that is, Moses, my problem is that is expected of the National Council. The National Youth Council should give positions on issues of the youth. I want you to say that, for instance, okay, let's get one. Like, did you agree with the amendment of the limit? That was basically an NRM issue. Two, do you agree with the issue of bail? That seems to have also taken a bipartisan stand.
On the issue of bail, I have said it here categorically clear that human rights are non-derogable rights. I believe every Ugandan should have the liberty and freedom to apply for bail. But also, let's not forget that the discretion to give this bail lies on the hands of the judicial systems. Yes. So I think we have to maintain that stance. So removal of application of bail, to me, it's an extreme measure that as a country we need to continuously look into. I don't think it's a right way to go as a country, because to me that is an impediment on the fundamental human rights of people. So I think really we would not like to see our country take that direction.
Okay, you've deliberately avoided the one of age limit, but that is okay. We shall leave it at that. So let's move now. I'm going to give Walid 30 seconds. Please be as fast as you can. I need to bring in the audience. They've been very patiently waiting, but I can't let Kidega go without you responding to you. So briefly respond to Kidega, and please be as fast as you can.
Thank you very much, my brother Godwin, for giving me way. And I want to debunk the allegation that my brother Kidega has really put forward, especially on me. Let me start with the last one, the internal democracy within FDC. It is not right that I've been in office for 10 years as the National Youth League chairman. I've been in office I was elected to the office of the National Youth League chairman in 2018. I don't know whether 2018, from 2018 to 2021, that is 10 years. Maybe the meaning of 10 years has really changed the meaning. So my brother, I want to educate you, go back and research, really basic research, because we had a delegates, an extraordinary national delegates conference of the Youth League that elected me in office. And I'm wondering why my brother Kidega is complaining on behalf of the FDC. I haven't had any formal complaint, not even a petition, not even a court process challenging my legality as a national chairperson of the league. But the NRM person feels uncomfortable Walid to chair the league from 2018 to 2021. So anyway, I leave that at that. But secondly, the respect to the institutions. I talked about petitioning the Honorable Jacob Bolanya. I want to remind my brother that it is not very far. In 2017, Parliament was besieged by army. Inside the vicinity of Parliament, members, the army entered the Parliament, beat up members of Parliament, forced them to actually take a position on the age limit. I saw the speaker even writing a letter to the president. President, we are complaining that your people came and beat my members. Where did they come from? Where did this order come from? a speaker of parliament. And I know it is the reason why even this speaker was booted out of office, because of asking such an unpleasant question to the head of state. So, and this is the house which my brother want me to go and really. So you mean if they booted out Kata and now the Honorable Jacob? So I don't think that we have, it is a fact that we have a parliament that is really a lame duck, a walking stick of Mr. Museveni. What kind of legislation do you expect to come out of that parliament that is for people if it is not in line with Mr. Museveni? Just recently, I saw the letter in Observer from the chief whip ordering members of NRM parliamentary caucus that we know that the bail legislation is unpleasant, unpopular to the public and even to you. But the head of state has instructed to go forth with, please go and vote in favor of it. And you will see the choir singing the hymn of, yes, we have it. Yes, the yes have it. So we will see. That is a parliament. And you expect me to have faith in that house? So secondly, you have talked about the disruptive approach of FDC. I don't think it is prudent for my brother to tell me which approach I must use to remove Museveni and his NRM. You expect Museveni to give me solution on how to remove him from power? I must be stupid, the stupidest of all, to think in that line. So as FDC, we shall take our own way. We know the crisis and we know how to handle the crisis. I want to assure you we are going to handle the crisis as it is. We shall not seek answers or solutions from the Kidegas or from NRM. We shall do it the way we think. Thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you very much, and good luck in doing it the way you want. So I'm going to take a few of the questions. I'm going to begin with the one from Aijuka Prosper, who says, for Evelyn, he specified that. So Aijuka, I hope you're listening. As a youth political activist with the rightful conscience concerning political status of our country, and democracy, do you think we are good to go as a country? Looking at youth participation and fears incited by the government, how better can we participate and change our country? Evelyn, I'll give you the opportunity to answer that right now. Evelyn, are you with us? Okay. In the interest of time, I will take another question, and this one comes from Amanya Oscar. I would like to ask Kidega to tell us what the affirmative action in the interest of the youth has really done to improve the youth socio-economically, whatever that means. Or to be specific, what they've done at UNSA as youth struggled through pandemic and induced education crisis, other than worshipping and praising as what it calls it. Kidega, if you're there, you can respond to that right now.
Thank you very much, Comrade Toko, and thank you for that question, Ndugu Edmund. The argument of youth emancipation, to me, to best explain it, let me quote for the revolution and against victory. So, to me, the argument of emancipating young people and students is a work in progress. It is a continuous course of action, okay, that we cannot do overnight and say, okay, now, tonight we have emancipated the youth. No, we must continuously organize ourselves and, like Comrade Walid said, continuously build a critical mass, okay? And this can be achieved by, for example, what we are doing right now, bringing young people together from different political spheres to discuss about issues that bring them together. Because tomorrow, when there is insecurity in the country, when there are poor roads in the country, when there is poor governance, when there are no hospitals, your FDC, NRM, UPC, whatever your political party is, you will be affected. So I think as young people, it is high time we focus more on what brings us together than on what separates us. Because the older generation has successfully misled us and have successfully divided us to make sure that we see ourselves only in the shade of our political party colors. That is why Walid will see himself in the blue color, and the story continues. It's high time that we emancipate our minds as young people, emancipate our minds to believe that as a generation, we must have a common set of values that have to bring us together. And I agree that the young people have naturally been mobilized because of the socio-economic inequalities and imparities that exist in this country. Uganda is a dual economy where you have a group of old, extremely rich, and it's about maybe 5-10% of the country's population. Then you have the vast majority of Ugandans who are young and poor and have no access to even the bare minimum of quality resources or quality services like education. So I think the socio-economic inequality should bring us together on the same round table as young people to discuss our future, but above all, to discuss the future of this country. But to achieve this, we won't achieve it by pulling strings and by shooting ourselves on the foot. No, we can achieve this only through organizing ourselves, that irrespective of our political parties, certain fundamental governance principles should not be alternated with the issues of human rights, issues of democracy, issues of freedom to press. Those are non-derogable principles of democracy and principles of good governance. Okay, issues of accountability of public resources. That is where I think we should have no compromise over. Okay, but also as a member of the National Resistance Movement and as a lover of good democratic practices, I cannot say I have no interest in the internal democracies of political parties. I should be concerned to invest in what is the FDC Youth League doing? Are they practicing democracy? Because, like I said, the strength of the internal democracies of political parties is showcased at the national scene. So as a lover of national democracy, it is fundamentally right for me to take interest in the internal democracies of political parties. And I want to educate my brother Walid that he should take interest in the internal democracies of the National Resistance Movement. And they have on several occasions said that why does NRM continuously elect President Museveni as its flag bearer? That is an internal process which they have picked interest in. So it isn't wrong for me to pick interest in who is the Youth League chairperson of FDC, and are they legitimate office bearers, or are they serving to the best interest of the young people? It is only a good democratic practice.
Kidega, thank you. You've enlisted so many questions, but someone here says, I'll just read this, the comment, not a question, and then I'll ask the other question that was posed for Evelyn. So this is yours, Kidega. I am sorry to say, but Mr. Kidega, but emancipation of the mind begins with self. That is coming from Ayebareke Prosper. Mr. Kidega must emancipate himself from the political party he belongs. Does he know that NRM is #1 in separation and segregation? Really? He finishes with that. So there was a question for Aijuka that I need to find in a second and then pose to her. I see now that she is here. So the question is here. Evelyn, as a youth political activist with the rightful conscience concerning political status of our country and democracy, do you think we are good to go as a country? Question mark. Looking at youth participation and fears incited by the government, how better can we participate and change our country?
That's a beautiful. I'd actually already, I wrote the questions here. I think the discussion in the comment section is amazing. Everybody, I implore every one of you to go there. It's really amazing. I saw beautiful comments from Prosperous, Galaxy A. I think that's the chair for, I saw Bui, I saw Kule, I saw Expeditor. Yes, I saw you guys. I saw Yebare, I saw Kidega Moses. Walid, today Katende had you. You should go and read Katende's comment. Derogatory talk. Anyways, back to the point. I think we lose the discussion as youths. The moment we belittle this very important discussion to the shades of colors that we affiliate ourselves to or that we sympathize with. Okay, here's why. The fact that my fellow panelists have accepted to come here is already indication that well, we believe in whatever is going to be discussed here, and two, we feel like it's a pertinent issue that of our voices really need to be registered. So as the panelists, as the youth of this country, yes, Darren said we bleed the same. I agree with you, Namatovu, we bleed the same. And it's not true when Walid says that all those in the NRM are on a manner that is to worship, a particular, it's not true, Walid. And even in my party, the NRM, I will say it again, there are individuals that are very, very brilliant individuals. They may have their reasons as to why they are still there or they are there. And anyway, it's not even a must that we all must belong here. But maybe what we can learn as the youth of this country is for us to pick from each one of us, wherever they are, wherever they are. My sister Immaculate in the NUP, I would want to pick from her energy. I would want to harness her energy. At a later time, I would want to sit on a round table and hear what she has to say. Trust me, she brings in a whole lot. You would want to pick my mind, whereas I come from the NRM. You'd want to pick my mind on where I feel. Maybe you feel, maybe generally anything. I would want to pick from Walid, from DP, from anywhere, from Jema, anywhere, from Katumbas. I don't know if it is there. I would want to pick from all this diversity rather than just belittle the discussion to just the shades of color. First of all, we are youths. We are youths before we have color. And the beauty, like I had mentioned earlier, is that now more than ever, the youths want to discuss a youth agenda regardless of the colors. So it's not okay to hear the bickering. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to bicker because we are youths. That's what makes us youthful. But it's also important to know that we can harness all that diversity and we all can belong to the same. That's not okay. That would also be a problem if we all said no and yes to the same no. There's reason someone will belong here, and there's also another reason someone will belong here. To the question of are we good to go as a country? No, we are not. We are far from good. But hey, we have made tremendous progress. We have made tremendous progress. Now more than ever, you can spare your data to come and listen to such a discussion. There was a time when there was politics, democracy, anything, policy discussion, the youths would take the back seat. But now you're sparing your data, you're sparing your time. It's a Thursday, you could what? You could be kusimbularing from anywhere right now, but hey, you're kusimbularing from this channel and you're kusimbularing on a matter that will push the youth agenda, that will make a youth, that will secure our generation as a youth, as a Ugandan, as somebody that's concerned. So we are not yet there, but we are making steps. And the fact that you are asking about this shows that surely we are making tremendous. And I saw in the comment section people are attacking being NRM. Being NRM is a choice, just like you can choose to belong to this party. There are ideals that are brilliant. There's paperwork. I can say it's not 110 but it has shown each individual or any other person that belongs to it the reason as to why. And the same reason I may not question. For me, really, it's not about the party. I may not even question why Immaculate belongs to the NUP. For me, that's never the issue. You can belong anywhere, but how can we harness the power, the diversity that you have? Okay, the diversity that comes with it, each one's contribution. What do you bring to the table? What vast experience do you come with? It's not enough for us to say, oh, we are this, or to belittle our contribution to this country, to the parties that we belong in. NEDA, let's unite as the youths. Let's stop looking at the shades. Let's, okay, this is it. Because you know what is funny? If a Rolex is being sold 1.5, it will be sold 1.5 to me. It will be sold 1.5 to also you. So if the price of the egg that is put in the Rolex increases, it will not only just affect you, but it also affect me as well. So these issues are cross-cutting. Let's not belittle this discussion to just that. And to the youth, let's I ever my God, the comments are killing me. Anyways, for now, let me just give the mic back to Toko. You could bring in more. I will keep checking and trying maybe to respond from there. It's amazing.
Okay, thank you. You made my work easy by responding to almost all of them that concern you. I want to put this question to Doreen. Doreen, this is at Hurire says, the panelists talked about the leadership, talked about their leadership experience. I would like to ask them, where are their colleagues they had during their school time, their school time leadership? How many are still in leadership? Have they tried to know why some left the struggle? So do we as youth leaders ever sit back and say, we began this struggle maybe like 20, maybe 30, how come we are getting fewer? And that seems to be what the question is about, the diminishing numbers. So Nantambi Machwet, you could respond. In fact, as you respond to that question, let's even broaden it. Tell us why some of the youths that were in FDC, in NUP at the beginning, people are very active, like Kato, it's called Ashbag Kato, yes, Ashbag Kato, have since now crossed and switched allegiance to the NRM. Is that a show that your party is not grooming them enough, or it's not grounded, or I would just want to get your perspective on that.
Well, thank you very much, Comrade Godwin. Straight to what has been raised by a few people. I think someone states, have they left the struggle? You know, the question should be the struggle about what, and the struggle for who? You know, in this country, we have always degraded, our souls to thinking that I'm doing this because there is someone else that I'm doing it for. My friend, as we are here and everyone states I am in the struggle, someone who is in a taxi saying I'm in the struggle, you yourself, Comrade Godwin, you're in the struggle of life. You're in the struggle of making your country a better place. It is only those ones who have not yet, maybe who are living in denial, of understanding during Amini's time, to understand that the state at that time was a faulty state, and I don't have to be in school or to be schooled or to have someone to inspire me to know that the poverty that we are building with as the young people, it is a state system, sponsored poverty that is building with the young people. That you don't have to be inspired by anyone to understand the state that you're in, and you don't have to be doing it for anyone. Let me tell you, you mentioned a few names of the young people who have defected to other political parties. It is fine. Sometimes if you've seen long distance runners, there are those who set the pace and leave the grounds for those who will be victorious, So it is fine for anyone who has made a contribution and moved off the pitch at a certain point. It is very fine, as long as whatever that they knew had put them in the process or in the struggle still stands. So they can choose to play it from the other side. It is about them, it is about their families, it is about the societies, it is about the country that they want to see after 5 or 10 years in future. That is what we should be talking about, or that is what should be defining them. It is not me to define them in the shades of where they belong. I've known my brother Kidega, and it's truly amazing when I hear him say that the last time Mr. Museveni was elected as their party chairman, maybe he can correctly try to open his books and tell us the last date when they did so. So it is a question of what the young people should be taking as their choice. And my sister Evelyn and Kidega, I hear them, everyone trying to bring out something of saying unity. Let's focus on what brings us together. I mean, we truly need to go into a boardroom. Everything is out there, and it is whatever that is happening that should be bringing us together. If you cannot stand out to say that young people are being kidnapped, tortured, and others are killed, so what else can bring us together other than that? If you cannot stand out to say that young people are unemployed and it is systematic, it is deliberate, that the systems that have been put in place is to see that at least the young people should be crying out, that we should be beggars everywhere. We have the de facto president in Gulu, I don't know now where he is today, that you should go on begging everyone such that they see, they hold the superiority, of saying it is them who should be come to our rescue. It is now charity, that our rights, it is more of charity, rights, human rights. It is a charity that you can, today you live, you don't know how you live today. You don't know how tomorrow you'll go back home because you're putting on a beret, you're putting, people are being killed on streets because of the colors that they're putting on, my brother. So there is no way you can be asking of what should be bringing us together or why this person has defected to another party. It is a question of choice, a question of what they want to see their country. And you make a choice of where you want to be. If you want to continue to be the way how we are, then we shall continue. If you want to see things change in the near future, then you will make a choice, the better choice for your country. And therefore, to the young people, Mr. Godwin, I want to say, to the youth, governance should be a daily conversation that we should be having amongst ourselves, because governance comes with the allocation of resources. It comes with effectiveness and the sharing of the resources of this country. Today, this country is battling with young people who are so much angry at each other, and this has been inspired by the state. That is why you see others are, favored on state scholarships, others are given, scholarships to go and study abroad. And these Kidegas, they don't know, they don't ask at how are we sharing the national cake? Why should we have the very time and after the same people benefiting from the national cake? Why do we have the very same and police? You should be asking. The unity that they are talking about is given out by the state, not us. So that is what we should be questioning as the young people. And I want to encourage them. We've come a long way. We've come a long way, and we know it is hard. Sometimes we shed tears. We have lost thousands of many young people, but that will never stop us from moving. We shall continue to move. And we say this country will one day be a better place, at least for everyone, despite your tribe, in spite of your religion and every other thing that divides us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doreen. Now, I have good news and I have bad news. I'll begin with the bad news. The bad news is that our time is fast spent. We cannot go any longer than we have already done. But the good news is that we're going to have a second discussion of this kind to continue ironing out the issues that have been left out from today's panel discussion. So in that regard, I'm going to call back the panelists and give each of them strictly a minute, that is 60 seconds, in which they can make their conclusion, and then we move on to the next panelist, and then we finally conclude. So let's begin with the last. Let's begin with Doreen, and then we shall move to Kidega, and then we shall move to Lubega, and then we shall finish with Evelyn.
Yes, please. Mr. Godwin. Well, we want to say thank you very much for the CCG, for the platform that has given to us, more so to the young people who will uphold the future of this country, that calls for no discussion, that the future of this country, we should say it is within our hands. It is within the choices that we make today that will reflect the future of this country and how it will be. And therefore, to the young people out there and several other people who are watching us, the old, the young, that this country will fall and rise because of the decisions that we make today. It's been years since the last regimes that we had, and it defined on how transitions have been happening in this country. And therefore, as a country, we have a decision to take to see whether we want more of the same in the way how our transitions have been happening, or we want to see things change on how transitions happen. We don't need to lose people, shed blood because someone should be put out of power. And therefore, these are some of the things that the young generation and all the other people should be focusing on to see that the future of this country is put in a better place. And as the National Unity Platform, we continue to encourage the young people. The road that we have moved, or the journey that we have taken, it is 1,000 miles, we say. But sometimes we should look back and say, how long have we moved and how far we want to be? We believe that this country can be a better place if only we make the right decisions. Let's put the numbers, our highest numbers to the best place, and on how best we can be using them. Thank you very much. And people power is our power. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's move to Kidega.
Thank you, Comrade Toko. Thank you, CCG, for having me today. I look forward to more conversations of this kind. My parting shot would be that, let me say this, that as a country, we are not where we want to be or where we ought to be as a country in terms of maybe democracy, in terms of economic development, in terms of transforming our people's well-being, but there has been progress. Looking back into history, I think we have made steadfast progress. And I had to continue to call upon every young person out there to be a progressive-minded person. And let's focus more on organizing ourselves. That's tomorrow when we have the opportunity to offer this country leadership in our respective capacities. We do so from a point of experience and from a point of organization. But also, let me say this, that society proceeds by contradiction. So these contradictions between us is not harmful, okay? Me disagreeing with Walid or with anyone on this panel or any other young person is not an offense, for as long as we can disagree with decorum, okay? Whereas respecting one another, doing so in the most respectful manner and in a way that propels the development of our country, not in a violent manner that will lead to loss of lives or will lead to destruction of property, amongst others. Lastly, yes, let us continuously emancipate our minds as young people to see this country in a better lens and not from the lens that encourages violence and separation and disunity amongst us, but rather focus on what brings us together as a country. Thank you very much for having me. I look forward to more conversations.
Okay, thank you. Now we shall move to Walid, and I'll give Walid the last chance. If it's up to him, apologize for laughing at Olanya, the Speaker of Parliament, like Kidega asked earlier, or if he will stand with what he said. Walid, over to you. You start by laughing again.
Thank you very much. Because I have nothing to apologize. Maybe my colleague, my brother Kidega, is uncomfortable for me telling the truth, speaking the truth. But that's the truth, which is undisputable. Because I haven't had him coming up to dispute what I said. But first of all, on my own behalf as the national chairperson of the FDC Youth League, and also on behalf of the party, the Forum for Democratic Change Party, we would like to appreciate Center for Constitutional Governance for giving us this civic space for young people, especially for the FDC, to shine, for the FDC to present our own perspective of the way we see things. So thank you very much for being accommodative and inclusive. And maybe next time you need also to invite Democratic Party. I've seen my brother Katende complaining that the young people in Democratic Party were marginalized. But I thank you for the inclusivity and also Comrade for the wonderful moderation, Comrade Godwin Toko. Thank you very much. And also, colleagues, we haven't abused each other. We have stuck to the decorum. Before you I sign up, I would like to call upon, it is a karaoke call to the young people, that at least today we have we need to come up with a bipartisan consensus on things that will unite us. My sister Evelyn, with due respect, and my brother Kidega, the issue of the bail, it is something that should be coalescing, that should coalesce us around, and as young people, to fight this injustice and the miss of Mr. Museveni. A few weeks I was in Malawi, but while we were sharing a discussion, people were very amazed that the first lady is a minister in a government of her husband. And they said, how can it happen? A first lady to be a minister in a government? You mean issues of the country are discussed in bed? People are, so that is the irony. And I felt very ashamed. So I see that the young people will have a potential to redirect and to correct this kind of narrative, such that we bring a new order whereby we have a government for the people. You can't have a government where your family, your inner family, is the one in charge. So it is up to us, the young people, to rise up and do the needful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Lubega. Let's listen into Evelyn. Evelyn, I'm going to also give you a second to talk about your YouTube channel, if that will help. But before, as you conclude, also help me respond. Would you ever consider appointing your husband, I don't know who your husband is or who it will be, a minister in your government? Let's say by some chance tomorrow you married Lubega. Would you consider appointing him as a minister in your government?
An amazing discussion. Walid, my brother, see where Toko is leading us, huh? I think this is what makes us youth. And for me, the discussion, the laughters, the challenging each other, the bickering, positive criticism is what makes us stronger. So to my conclusive remark, every person that has listened in, thank you for the kind comments. I took note. Thank you so much. And to CCG for always endeavoring to put out continuous engagement. Thank you so much. The team leader, Ms. Sarah Birete, and the team at CCG, hats off. And one comment caught my attention. Anthony said that it's hard to sustain the struggle as a youth on a hungry stomach. And this is where I want to challenge anyone and everybody listening to us. I think from an individual point, I would want to challenge us to see that you have graduated from a point of being vulnerable and to a point of being self-sufficient as an individual. I'm not saying this because of, no, I'm saying equip yourself with basic skills, look for that job. When you get it, do it diligently, and find a way of having some money on you, because when you have some money on you, you will not just be brainwashed, or you will not just sell yourself short when you have your own money. I'm not saying this for maybe, no, it's just something aside. I realize that most young people, we are still in that struggle, and I'm challenging us that whatever thing that comes your way and you feel you can do it, equip yourself with the skill, go execute it diligently, so that at least as an individual you have a footing. When we have a discussion like this, you can afford that, and then we're able to discuss further. And to Anthony, that is what I thought about. So I hope all of us can at least do those soft skills, do these small things. So that you do not have to just bend to the yes or no. When you have some money, even the discussion is a bit different, and you can be an equal on some platform here and there. And maybe aside of that, I have a YouTube channel, Standout Series. You can just put in Aijuka Evelyn, or you can say Standout Series. Standout is my book I authored. And I felt like because of our readership, most of us young people don't like reading. So I made it easier for us, broke it down into series, starting with you, Walid. I want to see your subscription. Toko Godwin, you subscribed already. Thank you. Kidega, you subscribed. Thank you. My sister Immaculate, I want to see you. Please come and subscribe to the dear listeners. Let's take the conversation there. I always break down those series to at least break down the book, and I've written another one, but I want us to build a bigger audience. And last but not least, he asked if I would appoint my husband as Toko Godwin. I lost connection. I did not hear you. Can you say that again? I lost you. Walid, I am very sure you lost me too. Godwin, I can't hear you. CCG, I can't hear you. I am buffering. My network is buffering. Guys, thank you so much for listening in. It's been Aijuka, and let's continue this discussion. Always turn up, always comment, and go and subscribe to the CCG Civic Space TV. It has a YouTube channel. Go and subscribe. Go and follow these people. They're always having discussions there. Kidega sibawulira mbalengera muri banji naye sibawulira. So guys, thank you so much. I saw beautiful comments. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Go and subscribe to my channel. Let's do this. Let's build a community that is informed. I don't hear you people. I don't hear you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you very much, Evelyn. Like she's hinted on, we have a YouTube channel. It's called the Civic Space channel, the YouTube channel of CCG. There are so many programs of this kind, even more fierce debates, and they happen on a daily. So if you subscribe there and you turn on your notification, you'll get notified whenever there's a video that is on, a discussion that is on, so you can always participate. Then in those discussions, you can leave your comments in the comment section, and then they'll be attended to. So for this particular discussion, like I said earlier, we're going to have a second segment, and we hope that whatever issues were not addressed here will be addressed there. We hope that your time was well spent. We hope that you are engaged. For the audience that attentively listened in, we are grateful that we've had you. You make this show. To CCG that always organizes this, we thank you very much, and we hope that these discussions will continue for such a long time, and they will impact and influence our society for the better good. From me to you, thank you very much, and we hope that this discussion is the first of very many others. I will insist on saying that. Thank you, and have a great day.